Devontae Adams averaged 11 touchdowns a season in his 11 touchdowns a season in his last 6 years in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Now he's in Las Vegas with Derek Carr. So the BetQL model has him having a great season in yardage at over 1,300, but his touchdown total is oddly just over 5. Factor fiction, Jenks. Devontae Adams will have less than 6 touchdown catches this season.
Oh my God. What does the Donkster think? Donkster, you dumb dog. No way. No way. I know the Raiders have Hunter Renfrow. I know they have Darren Waller. But Devontae Adams, I believe, is the best receiver in football. That's why he got that monster contract. If he's not number one, he's top 3. And now we've heard the story again and again, but I think it matters in that he played with Derek Carr at Fresno State for that one season, I think in 2012, 2013. I know it was a while back, but those guys have an automatic chemistry. They wanted to play with one another. It's in a division where I think you're going to have to score a lot of points to keep up with the other quarterbacks and the other offenses in that division. I think Devontae Adams is going to have a huge year. I don't know if the Dogster made this computation with an abacus, whatever it was, but this is fiction in a big way.
Yeah, I think BetQL might have gotten catfished here. Maybe they thought that Devontae Adams was somebody else. I'm not sure, because if you look at his touchdown totals over the past 5 seasons, he's hit double digits in every season since 2016. I think he didn't play in 2019. Maybe he was hurt. But still, I think the consensus here is, yeah, he goes over. So let's try to take a look at some of the sabotage factors. I think the number one problem in Devontae Adams getting to this number is the fact that the Raiders were so bad in the red zone last year. So if you think that Devontae Adams is a Band-Aid that can fix that, which I think you could really make a case for saying that he could, but the Raiders were one of the worst red zone offenses in scoring touchdowns in the red zone last year. So Derek Carr has to figure something out in that regard. But Devontae Adams is an anytime touchdown machine. So I think that he goes over this number. It's just hard to make a case for the under.
It is very hard to make a case for the under, but I'm going to. It's a fact. He is going to be under his touchdown prop. I believe he'll be the focal point for most defenses like he normally is, and that will leave Darren Waller, who everybody thinks is going to have an unbelievable year, wide open with single coverage. You also, like Jenks said, have Hunter Renfrow, but most importantly, there's someone that no one's talking about who is in a prove-it season for the Raiders, and that's Josh Jacobs, the running back, and he has looked unbelievably good in preseason so far. He's looked really good, and he's in a prove-it season, and he wants a contract. So I'm going to go.
So I'm not sure if he's getting the ball. Like, think about it. If he's playing in the preseason, it's not looking good for his reputation with the coaches. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, he looks great in the preseason, but listen to yourself. It's in the preseason. What are we doing? No.
Chelsea, did you just drop a listen to yourself?
Yeah.
She did. She just mommed me.
She did. Well, listen to yourself.
Nobody else is playing in these preseason games. In fact, it is a huge red flag that Josh Jacobs is getting all these snaps in the preseason, to me.
You could be right, but I'm going to stick with it. I think Josh Jacobs goes off this year, and it's going to take away from the touchdown totals for Devontae Adams. Moving on to Justin Jefferson, who had a monster season last year with over 1,600 yards and 10 touchdowns. Jefferson has proclaimed himself the best wide receiver not named Devontae Adams, and the BetQL computer loves it some Jefferson. His touchdown total after 10,000 simulations came in at 11.5. Factor fiction, Chelsea, Justin Jefferson will catch close to a dozen touchdowns this season.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of money coming in on Justin Jefferson as a dark horse candidate to maybe have the most touchdowns in the entire NFL for all receivers, even though it's hard to call him a dark horse because he was second in the NFL in most offensive categories last season for receivers. So looking at his touchdown total, he was at 10. last season. But if you look at their offense, I think the consensus is that the Vikings are going to be passing the ball more frequently this season because they have a new offensive coordinator where they're not committed to the run nearly as much this season. So I think that's where we see some difference in his touchdown total. So I would not be surprised if he had 12 touchdowns this season. Wouldn't be shocked at all because he had 10 last year. And if they're going to be throwing the ball even more this season, would not be shocked at all. So I'm going to love it.
I'm going to go fact as well here because Kirk Cousins, even though I can't stand Kirk Cousins, which is weird because I used to be such an advocate for him, he does put up numbers during the regular season. And Justin Jefferson is only 23. He's going to get better and better and better. That Vikings offense, I'm not sold on the Vikings this season necessarily, but they're going to put up a lot of points. They clearly have a lot of weapons, and I just love the way he plays. He could make a huge jump this year, sort of in line with what we saw with Jamar Chase at the end of last season. So I'm going with fact.
We're just going to disagree this fine day. I'm going fiction. I don't trust Kirk Cousins first and foremost. Secondly, Irv Smith Jr. is back this season, who was one of Kirk Cousins' favorite targets a season ago before he got injured. And to be quite honest, I think Dalvin Cook's going to become more of a threat out of the backfield receiving as well. So I'm going fiction. He will not come close to a dozen. Moving on to another receiver with a new team this season is Tyreek Hill, going from Kansas City to Miami. Hill was brilliant with the Chiefs, averaging 9 touchdowns a season in the past 6 years. Now with the Dolphins and an unproven quarterback, the BetQL simulation thinks Hill is going to slide back a bit and only grab 7 touchdowns this coming year. Fact or fiction, Jenks? Tyreek Hill will catch less than 8 touchdowns this season.
Fact. I love Tyreek Hill, and there are a few players in the game that can do what he does, which is just catch the ball in space and go. All you want to do is get Tyreek Hill a yard or 2 advantage on someone and let him take off. And I love that the Dolphins brought him in and traded for him because that's what they're going to need to do to make Tua Tagovailoa successful. They're going to have the same strategy with Jalen Waddle as well. However, he does not have Patrick Mahomes throwing to him. And even though I don't expect that they're going to go deep with Tyreek Hill on the majority of his plays, I still need to see more from Tua before I'm going to bank on Tyreek Hill being as successful in Miami as he was in Kansas City. So I'm going to say fact. I don't think he gets his number.
I'll go fact too. Just looking at his past numbers in Kansas City, he eclipsed double digits in the touchdown category only twice since 2016. Last season, he only had 9 touchdowns. In 2019, only 17. In 2017, he only had 7. Did I say 17? I meant to say 7. But bottom line, he really has not gotten close to this number in multiple seasons, even with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. So I think it's fair to say that he will go under this just because think about some of the catches that he is making, where he is making these big explosive plays, and sometimes he'll be tackled inside like the 5-yard line, and then they'll just have the running back running in. So it's not even necessarily a fade of Tyreek Hill. It's just the numbers don't really support it. If he barely was getting this number with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, I think it's fair to say that he goes under this with Tua. So yeah, I'm going to go fact.
I'm going to go fiction. I think he gets to double digits this year. I believe that Tua is going to impress people this season and make himself into a better quarterback because of the weapons that he has. And I believe Tyreek Hill's out to prove that he doesn't need Patrick Mahomes to be an elite wide receiver. Therein lies why I say fact, and he's going to have himself a year.
Well, he can have a good year and not get this. Like, I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill is going to have a bad season. I'm not saying that Tua is going to have a bad season. I'm just looking at the past few years where he hasn't really been a touchdown machine. And I think it's for that reason, because he'll have these big, long, explosive plays. And then if you're close enough to the goal line, it's just not going to be him that runs it in. I think the sabotage factor for the under is maybe the fact that the Dolphins have a shiny new toy. And so why would they not want to use it? So I think when you go out and make these splashy trade moves and personnel changes that you really want to make the most of your new toy. So wouldn't be surprised if he goes over, but I just feel like the numbers don't really support it. Gummy